Hello, my name is Brandon Aragon, and I did my research report on the implementation of prosthetics for wounded soldiers. There are many soldiers that have gone to war and have lost a limb or even multiple limbs. These soldiers should be provided with the best and most innovative prosthetics. The most common or frequent amputation today is the loss of the lower extremity. There are many different companies around the country that are engineering different prosthetics for the lower extremities for these wounded soldiers. Prosthetics that allow an amputee to not only walk like a normal person, but can reduce energy spent while walking. The price for the most innovative prosthetics is too expensive for most people to pay out of pocket, and insurance typically will only cover the cost of a simple prosthetic. Simple prostheses normally limits an individual's dexterity, leaving them slightly disabled. A combination of donated money from agencies that help with wounded soldiers and the money that disability covers should be used to cover the cost of the prosthetic and the rehabilitation for a soldier. This will allow our nation's defenders to finally become fully able and independent again. Too many soldiers return home with missing appendages, forced to live their life trying to adapt to a new lifestyle. Soldiers who have lost limbs in the line of duty should be provided with prosthetics that make them completely independent to the point of forgetting the prosthetic is not their original limb. These soldiers have risked their lives, lost beloved comrades, and also left pieces of themselves in war zones. They should not be forced to live incomplete. Throughout the war on terrorism, many operations have been carried out. In Operation Iraqi Freedom, 31,942 soldiers were wounded. Operation Iraqi Freedom includes casualties that occurred between March 19, 2003 and August 31, 2010 in the Arabian Sea, Bahrain, Gulf of Aden, Gulf of Oman, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Persian Gulf, Qatar, Red Sea, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. When a soldier has a limb blown off, the government's benefits pay to have them healed. They are then placed on disability for the rest of their lives. My solution is to use donated money from all the agencies set up to help wounded soldiers, along with disability costs to cover the procedures to have new innovative prosthetics fitted. No longer would our wounded heroes have to be dependent on the government for a check, but could become fully functioning members of society. Soldiers returning home with missing limbs should be given the most advanced prosthetics to enable them to be independent, to help make this vision a reality, and to ensure soldiers can be equipped with prosthetics that will regain independence and functionality. I investigated 5 areas of inquiry. 1. What is the most frequent prosthetic needed by the military? 2. What level of independence do these prosthetics give to those types of injuries? 3. What new designs are being worked on to heal what we cannot at the moment? 4. How can disability be used to cover the costs? 5. How much revenue can donations from credible agencies bring in? Most frequent amputations. The most frequent amputations, which would later be fitted with a prosthetic, involves a lower extremity. Improvised explosive devices, or IEDs, are the main culprit for these injuries. An IED is like a landmine, but can be homemade even out of plastic, making them extremely hard to detect. When a soldier steps on or has pressure released from the device, it detonates. Along with a massive explosion, some are packed with ball bearings, nails, or anything that can slice and maim a human. These devices are often fatal. Those who do survive are not often lucky enough to walk away from it. Firefights are also a cause of amputation. A bullet to the leg sounds like something one could have patched up and go about their lives. However, a round that hits the bone or artery can cause complications that will result in the loss of the limb. Due to these most frequent injuries, companies like ProLimb, Superior Rehabilitation Techniques, Prosthetics and Orthotics, or SRT, From our brace are engineering some of the most advanced prostheses for lower extremities. We are dedicated to providing service members who have lost a limb with the most advanced and useful assistive devices in order to return to their highest level of activity. Along with the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, we are among the leaders in utilizing the most progressive prosthetic technology. We work daily with a lot of veterans, both from current conflicts and from previous conflicts. So we have a great basis of understanding of what their specific needs can be. The level of independence. Every injury is treated on a one-by-one individual basis. Even though an amputation might be the same for two people, say the right leg below the knee, they can receive different prostheses based on what they have decided they want. Some people, after having a traumatic injury, want to slow things down and are happy with a simple rod and foot that allows them to walk. Others see it as a second life and want to achieve everything they almost never had the chance to. The level of independence is often left up to the patient and what he or she wants from it. Sergeant Jordan Smith lost his leg when his platoon was ambushed. A bullet from an AK-47 hit his lower leg. Doctors were able to save the leg for 2 years, but complications kept rising, and they decided the safest decision was to amputate below the knee. This gave him the chance to try a new prosthetic from SRT called the iWalk Biome Foot. The Biome is a bionic lower leg system that stimulates the action of the ankle, Achilles tendon, and calf muscles by propelling the amputee upwards and forwards during each walking step. Unlike passive carbon fiber feet that only return 50% of the energy of a natural limb, the reflective action of the biome performs network on every step and returns 100% of the energy while accommodating for real-time terrain changes. This prosthetic runs on lithium batteries. My good leg gets tired before my prosthetic leg, said Sergeant Jordan Smith. This one's got assistance. I'm trying to keep up with it. Sergeant Smith plans on returning to active duty and leading his squadron into battle. Innovative designs. The iWalk is one of the most revolutionary lower extremity prosthetics. However, it is limited to pre-programmed movements. New discoveries in brain mapping have led to development of electrodes being implanted in the brain. These electrodes read the brain waves and cipher them into controls for robotic arms. This technology is still in its infancy, but it is giving some quadriplegics the chance to grab objects around themselves. It allows a person who is completely dependent on others to perform what fully functioning people might call a mundane task, like scratching their nose or bringing a drink to themselves. If brain mapping technology that controls separate robotic limbs can merge with prosthetics, a new era in life could begin. A time when losing a limb in war is not a tragedy, because a new arm that works from the user's own brain signals can do just as much, if not more, than a human limb. Cost. What is the price for independence? For the freedom to go about our day. To some, this costs their life. To others, a limb. What price should be paid to return one of these heroes to being independent? Dr. Rhonda Turner estimates lower extremity prostheses can range in price from $5,000 to $50,000. With thousands of soldiers needing these prosthetics, how can the cost be covered? Permanent Disability Retirement List, or PDRL, covers those whose disability is permanent and rated at 30% or greater. Many of the soldiers suffering from these injuries are young or recently enlisted. Lance Corporal is the third rank in the United States Marine Corps, ranking above Private First Class and directly below Corporal. A Lance Corporal is an enlisted soldier at a DoD pay grade E3 with a starting monthly pay of $1,729.80. This equates to $20,757.60 a year. Retirement is set as annual base pay times the percent of disability one is rated. This means if a lance corporal stepped on an IED and lost their lower leg and were rated at a high 65% disability, they would only receive $13,492.44 a year. In 4 years, this would cover a $50,000 prosthetic. However, the investment could have the soldier back on their feet and employed rather than trying to find a job with one leg or an inadequate prosthetic that still leaves the person disabled. The Wounded Warrior Project. The Wounded Warrior Project was established in 2003 and has been helping wounded soldiers returning from Afghanistan and Iraq. They offer many services that help mend the body as well as the mind from the battles of war. The Wounded Warrior Project continuously strives to keep administrative and fundraising costs associated with the operations as low as possible. Based on their fiscal statements ending in September 30th, 2012, 81.6% of total expenditures went to provide services and programs for the wounded warriors and their families. This revenue, along with a change in how disability is paid out, could cover the costs of equipment and rehabilitation for our wounded soldiers. An interpretation of the findings. These prosthetics can give a wide variety of independence, from a basic metal rod and foot to battery-powered computerized hydraulics. Prosthetics like the iWalk have even let a soldier return to active duty. Merging brain mapping with prosthetics can turn a disabled amputee into a fully functioning member of society, part man, part machine. Removing people from disability because they are no longer disabled would cut its long-term expenses of the federal budget and also incorporate another being into the workforce. For every $1 donated to the Wounded Warrior Project, 81 cents goes to the member or family in need. My recommendations are implementing prosthetics to remove people from government aid like disability while cutting their long-term expenses. This, coupled with a person being able to be integrated in the workforce again, will also help boost the economy. Fixing the injury to the best of human ability is more ethical and productive use of money. No veteran should live their life feeling incomplete because of an injury suffered in war. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.